Hi, I'm Marty Hogan. The action you have just seen is power racquetball, the Hogan way. Power racquetball is what I win with. And you too can be a winner or a club champ. But first we have to start from the beginning. The fiberglass racket, the most popular, is light, inexpensive, and durable. The metal racket, usually coming in a quadriform shape, is heavier. Most power players prefer it. And my choice, the graphite racket, light, stiff, I feel I get 20% more power with it. And one other item worth mentioning are the eye guards. I don't feel safe without them. Racquetball is a strenuous and physically demanding sport on your body. Pre-game stretching and warm-up are essential. The inside of the racquetball court is a perfect place to begin your warm-up. Using the side walls, stretch out those legs. Then move on to the upper parts of your body and stretch out your waist and your back. Once you feel loose and confident, let's begin. Power racquetball, the power serve. In order to have the proper grip for the right serve, you want to have your hand on the face of the racket. You want to slide it down to a handshaking position to where it feels good. This particular grip is sufficient enough to hit forehand and backhand shots. The power serve, or the drive serve, is hit from the center of the court. You want to make sure your weight is all proportionate to your back part of your body. You want to, in essence, be moving that weight when you're stepping forward to hit the ball. Your weight will shift automatically with your body momentum moving forward to add that extra percentage of power into your drive serve. In hitting the drive serve effectively, you have to keep your body low so that the ball will strike the front wall, carrying back at a sharp angle, just making it beyond the short line. Remember, in hitting the drive serve effectively, get your arm way back to create a big swing to generate the power you will need to get the ball across the line. Also notice 1, the big backswing, essential in gaining that extra percentage of power in your stroke. 2, the high elbow, which is a part of the swing technique which you will need in generating the big power. And 3, the ideal hitting position, parallel to the front foot. Remember, the drive serve is the most offensive and aggressive serve in the game. It's made to hit an ace or create a good opportunity on a weak return from your opponent. drive serve is the only serve equally difficult to return from either side. The Z serve, the second most effective serve in the game. When hitting the Z serve, you want to make sure that you hit within 3 feet of the side wall. So once it does hit the side wall, it will carry back at a sharp angle, hitting the opposite wall, and then coming straight out. This particular serve, you should try to hit pretty firm. Not as hard as the drive serve, but yet you want to make sure that it has enough pace on the ball so it carries back at a sharp angle, because that's the whole thing behind a Z serve, are the tough angles to return it, which puts your opponent in a cramped back position next to the back of the glass wall. Also, in hitting the serve, you want to make sure that your arm has a complete and consistent flow through the ball. You want to make sure that you don't give away exactly what you're going to do. The Z serve is one of the easiest serves to hit and is one of the best serves to hit to catch your opponent off guard and to make him move and to commit himself into a difficult shot. Get the Z serve angles to work for you perfectly, and this may be one of the toughest serves for your opponent to judge. When you are in the defensive position and returning serve. First of all, position. The most important part of returning a serve is to be in the right position, which is very easy. Go back to the center of the court, touch the back of the court with your racket, turn around, and take a step. This is the perfect position to return serve. For one reason, that you're the shortest distance to either side. If your opponent decides to hit a forehand shot to you or a backhand shot, you're just one step away from either corner. You want to make sure that you tend not to lean to one side, favoring either your backhand or your forehand, because if there's a weakness in your backhand, you'll tend to shag to one side, leaving a greater opening for a guy to hit a more offensive serve to your forehand. If you sense your opponent is anticipating your serve, that is the time to change your service direction. After you have changed your serve, it is often good strategy to go right back and hit the same serve you have just been using. In getting ready to hit a serve, you always want to try to anticipate toward the shot. You don't want to stand so numb that after the ball hits and bounces, you're thinking about it coming off the back wall. You want to flow to the ball. Always remembering this flow also acts as a pre-set-up formation. And remembering to hit return serve off a drive, even though it's coming to your forehand, remember the same thing applies to if you're hitting it with your backhand. You want to make sure that you're hitting the ball straight down the line so it carries right down the glass without hitting it. Hitting the ball without a bounce is referred to as fly shooting. This warm-up will help to hit the ball when it is necessary to take a shot out of the air without a bounce. Letting the ball drop and hitting it is a good drill to perfect your timing. Hitting the ball coming off the back wall at different speeds is also an excellent drill for timing. When the ball comes off the back wall a little bit faster, take an extra step to adjust to get the ball into the proper hitting zone. Perfect. These drills will help you to perfect your drives down the line under any hitting situation. Okay, hitting the ball cross court. If your opponent decides that he wants to try to work on your forehand, remember that in hitting the ball down the line 2 times or 3 times in a row, your opponent is going to adjust. He's going to start leaning. That's when you want to throw a cross court into it, right into play. Because all of a sudden he'll be leaning this side to the right to pick a drive down the right-hand side, and all of a sudden you'll throw something to the left, which will cause him a lot of trouble to adjust to returning that shot. The cross-court shot is a good weapon to use to enable you to regain better court position. A lob serve is used to change the pace of a game. In returning a lob serve, the same strategy applies. Be aggressive, but don't take low percentage shots. The around-the-wall ball is another effective off-pace shot that can be used to your advantage on an aggressive player. You want to make sure that you don't get too aggressive on a lob serve to your forehand. Usually the reason an opponent does hit a weak shot to your forehand off the lob is to see if you get really aggressive and pound it back, which in turn, if you don't hit it right, will result in a setup. So make sure you hit good defensive returns to move your opponent out of center court. Lob serve, Randy. That was a perfect kill right there. Remember, all of these shots can be used off any type of serve that is hit to you. Now we'll hit a cross court. And hitting the ball cross court, you want to make sure that you hit it with a lot of force, driving your opponent out of center court position. Z serves. Okay, now we've got a Z shot, a Z serve coming to your forehand. You want to remember that the ball is coming off at a different angle than the other two serves, the drive and the lob. So you want to make sure you compensate for that, for giving yourself enough room to swing so that you can bring it straight down the lane. The main object in any return is to get your opponent in the worst possible position, which will enable you to get the best results off of your shots. And having an opponent behind you, it leaves you many options to take advantage of any offensive opportunity and score with it. Also, in trying to remember to hit off a Z serve, off a return, you don't want to overcommit yourself to one side, because even though your opponent looks like he's hitting into a Z formation serve, you don't want to overcommit and then find yourself a step out of place and then the serve going in the opposite direction. You want to wait and let that serve develop, because usually a Z serve will not be hit very hard. It'll be hit at a moderate pace to give you time to set up to return it. Your opponent has been using a drive serve on you all day. You've been having trouble getting it back. What are the shots to hit on a drive serve? First shot. Straight down the walls. Very effective. Okay, and remembering to hit the ball down the lanes on a serve, you want to make sure that you keep the ball close to the side wall, utilizing that first box that comes out in the corner. If the ball hits in that first box, it'll carry straight down this lane. If it hits in the smaller box, it'll hit the side wall first and bounce out to the center of the court. Your backhand stroke should be exactly like your forehand in regards to your swinging motion, getting your racket back and high to generate the bigger swinging groove, which will put more power into your shot. The backhand stroke is similar to the forehand in regards to the high backswing, maintaining eye contact when the ball reaches the ideal hitting zone, and the big follow through to add that extra percentage of power. Remembering elbow, back, head racket forward, big follow through. Notice 1, the legs shifting the weight from the back foot to the front foot, waiting for the ball to get into the proper hitting zone, and then all weight shifted on the follow through to create that big boost of power. You should try to develop your backhand to be as equal as proficient as your forehand, maximizing all your power sources. In taking the ball off the back wall, you want to shift your body to get the ball into the ideal hitting position off of your front foot. Remembering that getting the ball into that ideal position may require that you take an extra step or two. Your backhand stroke is identical when coming off the back wall to your forehand. Racket high. Consistent eye contact with the ball in the hitting zone, and the big windmill follow through for that extra percentage of power. Remember, the bigger the backswing, the more power generated into your shot. Okay, now waiting a little bit extra long on the Z serve. Let's say your opponent is hitting a Z serve, but it's hitting the sidewall, then the back wall, and carrying up so you have a setup. Then be a little bit more patient and wait for the play to develop. A lot of times, the Z serve will come off the back wall high, leaving you an extra second or two to hit a more desirable shot. When returning a Z serve, it is often a good idea not to get too aggressive. The sharp angles off of this serve will limit your return possibilities. Taking the ball to the ceiling is a good idea to move your opponent out of center court position. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to return the lob. In returning a lob serve, which comes at you at a very slow pace, it is good strategy to mix your shots. Sometimes hitting aggressively for a winner, sometimes being more patient and hitting defensively. Situation, a ceiling ball can be just as effective as a kill shot. During a ceiling rally, you want to hit the ceiling fairly close to the front wall, which will allow the ball to take a big bounce back toward the back wall. The ceiling rally should be used to change the pace of an aggressive game plan used by your opponent. In stroking a ceiling ball with your backhand, it is important to keep your body parallel to the side wall and maintain a smooth and consistent follow-through. stroking the ceiling ball, the motion is similar to throwing a baseball, a straight overhand motion with a clean follow-through. During a ceiling rally, you should be looking for that one little mistake made by your opponent, allowing you to take full advantage of it, turning it into a winner. The most effective serve in the game. The tough angles make it a difficult shot to return. The most effective weapon in the game. The key to power racquetball is the big looping stroke. The backhand drive is another aggressive weapon. The power arc and body movement is the key to this stroke. The ceiling ball is the most defensive shot in the game.